member in any capacity of sacred service, if you would just stand, please. Choir. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And so, we really represent a community of beings that are learning as the emergence is also teaching us. And I love Barbara Marx Hubbard's work, and I'm so happy and grateful that Shipley activates us in the way that she does to recognize that we are the self, we are the beings, we are what we've been looking for, and we are being transformed by the renewing of our minds from ego to essence. And part of that process allows us to learn to do the things that Jesus taught, to serve. Jesus said, I came here to serve. And he didn't do it because he felt obligated. He knew what Shipley knows, and many of us also know, that service is a place where we co-create with the divine. Service is a place where we become what we thought we weren't. We are extending ourselves in love and appreciation and gratitude. And so sacred service activates us. Sacred service does, all of those that stood, they stand for those who know in the sacred service of their heart that the essence is what serves. Obligation doesn't serve. The essence, the divine self, serves and inspires, and is also part of the sacred service process. We recognize that we're part of a family. We're part of a spiritual family, and those that serve know what that feels like. When we come here in the morning, you see everyone hugging each other, and you just get that smile on the face. That's your brother, yourself, the reflection of yourself in love that you've been serving with. And so thank you all that have been part of the serving process. And next week, I'll be looking for all of you that are in service. We're going to have tables set up in the bookstore for the Sacred Service Fair, and everyone is welcome to be there. And if you're on a team, please represent your team next week. And if you would like to help me to set up for the Sacred Service Fair, I'll be here Monday through Friday next week setting up the displays. And if you have things on your team that you would like to have part of the displays, please bring them to me or contact me so that we can include them on your display board. And that's it. I love you so much, and I appreciate your help.
Dr. Michael Murdad goes without introduction. Most of you know him. He's been here before, but he will be here for about a week. And you can see his services and workshops, but also he can be contacted for individual appointments, and there is an insert in your flyer with a special phone number for you to call. And then there's the Lenten schedule. We have Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and just a special note, there are 2 services Easter Sunday. One is at 9, one is at 11. Now I have somebody else to introduce to you. This is our plant and flower Easter ambassador. Would she please stand? And you need to turn around. She's wearing a special hat. Thank you. Denise Dennis is her name. And she's actually here. She's taking orders for Easter plants and flowers. If you would like to honor a loved one, what we do is we adorn the sanctuary with the flowers. Then after the last service, you can pick them up and give them to your loved ones. So she'll be in hospitality. She has order forms, and she will answer all your questions. Thank you, and have a lovely service today.
I'd like to invite you all into a prayerful place. Paula and Maura will perform, and that will lead right into our opening prayer. And then we can lift it up. So if you would refrain from clapping until the second song, and we just stay in a prayerful inner sanctuary. Thank you.
Bone chilly and cold, I know the hour has come when I be lifted, and when the fragile mask rises to reveal the world's been undone. Will I remember the leaving as a vague recollection of those who ghosted near my tomb? Or will it be remembered as the leaching of my soul's heaven into a heartbreak that takes my breath? Bone chilly and cold. When I be lifted, will ever the sun again reach the nethers of my soul, to warm fog into form, dust to desire, sand into matter? Or am I then unreachable to goodness and to loveliness and to love? On the other side, everything will be new. Bone chilly and cold. When I be lifted, will the archangels believe, as decreed, agreed, and now abandoned, that hundreds yet waited for my exodus as one? That every line and fissure of our worldly box was first, a sea of heaven and of faith. Take enough of our hearts to remember how to find the way. Do we really see them again? Or is that just what they say? Here, now, at your feet, Father, to your Father, and to my God and your God, will I be lifted, or will I forget? Will I be lifted? Bone chilly and cold.
And let us pray. Our elder brother and way shower, Jesus the Christ, said, "Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and lean on me, for I am gentle and lowly, and you will find rest for your souls." And so on this journey to emergence, the shift from ego to essence, our essential higher self says the same to our egoic local selves. Come to me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Come into my vibration, come into my frequency. Allow yourself to be lifted. And there is that part of us, our egoic self, that says, I'm afraid I will lose myself. If I fall into the fullness of your love, who will I be? And so we stand back and we resist and we try to pull ourselves away. But the vibration, the frequency of the essential self is so strong, so mighty, so magnificent, so glorious, rose-colored. It calls us in, and we merge our humanity and our divinity. And so I invite you this day to recognize Which aspect of you is ego pulling you away? Which aspect of you is your higher self pulling you forward? Reminding you of all that you are already, all that you can be, the promise, the hope, the possibility. And lifting up those egoic selves that they might be blessed and transformed in your presence. For this and so much more we give thanks this day. And so it is. Amen.
Be the light, see the light. Be the light, see the light. Be the light, see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light. You want to see the light, because you reap what you sow, you mean what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. Got to be the love if you want to see the love, because you reap what you sow, you mean what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Don't tell me that your life is a desert, somebody gotta quench your thirst. You can dance and pray for the water, but you gotta give your life to it first. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. Cause you need what you sow, you need what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. To be the light, if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light, if you want to see the light. Join us! Got to be the light, if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light, if you want to see the light. Be the light, see the light. Got to be the light, if you want to see the light. Got to be the light, if you want to see the light. Read what you sow, you mean what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive.
Right. And now let's send a little love over to Paula Esty. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Unity on the River. We are a center of celebration and transformation and emergence. Yahoo! And it's not snowing. Yeah. And hi to everybody out there on streaming. So glad to have you back again. And I want you to know that we're streaming out into the children's area as well. So hi to all of you out there. Yay, what fun. So let's remember who we came here to be by saying our mission and our vision statement together. Our vision, centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. And the mission for this center, we are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence and awakens humanity to its divinity. Yes. So we are in the third week of following Barbara Marx Hubbard's Emergence, the shift from ego to essence. Last week, we invited the essential self to take dominion in the household of ourselves. And now the essential self takes initiative and invites the egoic local selves to come up, to rise up, to be lifted up into its frequency and its vibration. So we will go further with that today. So let's see. Let's welcome anyone who's celebrating with us for the first time. If you would just raise your hand, we will bring you a flower. Anyone celebrating with us for the first time today? Ah, we know everybody. There's somebody. There is somebody. There isn't anybody? All right. I can't see. There was somebody. All right. Wow, blessed be. Thank you. We welcome all paths to God, and we love having you here, and you enrich our experience. After the service, someone will introduce themselves to you and take you to the welcome table and give you a CD that tells you more about us. And thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. All right, so one of the processes that we are going to do today is talk about a resonant field. And in a resonant field, that's to resound or to echo back to each other their essential self. So when you greet each other today, I invite you to say, I see you. And in a sense, you are seeing their essential self, and it's echoing back to you your essential self. You want to do that today? Let's do that. Okay, I see you. Namaste.
I see your resonance.
Please welcome Brian Hallisey and All I Have.
Brian!
Creator, giver of all things, all I have is yours. Accept my humble offering. All I have is yours. When I was chained to greed and pride, tight-fisted, destined just to die, you showed me how to change my life. All I have is yours. All I have, all I have, all I have is yours. place, but now I see that all I have is yours. All I have, all I have, all I have is yours. All I have, all I have, all I have is yours. All I have, all I have, all I have is yours.
Ryan! The Unity Choir. They sound like a choir. Wow. Woo! You're gorgeous. Yeah. Right. So, this is the 50s, and there's a Catholic family in a neighborhood. People in my class know this story, so just bear with me. So, there's a Catholic neighborhood. They live in a neighborhood. They're all friends. They all hang out together. They all cook together and have fun together. And this is a time, you know, in the Catholic Church when you had to eat fish on Fridays. So, suddenly, one of the families, tragically, has to leave the area, and a Lutheran family moves into the neighborhood. And this is fine, all well, except for on Fridays, the Lutherans barbecue steak. Outside, yeah. And everybody can smell it all over the neighborhood. So the Catholics get together and they decide they're going to befriend the Lutherans. You know, so they start inviting them over, and their kids all hang out with them, and they start making friends. And then one day they say to them, you know, we really like you, and we're so glad you're in this neighborhood, and we would really like it if you became Catholic. And some of the Lutherans go, well, okay, so what's that entail? And they said, well, you just have to have a baptism. And so they said, okay. And so the Catholics, one of the Catholic gentlemen gets a little jar of water, and he starts sprinkling it on them, and he said, you were born a Lutheran? You were raised a Lutheran? Now you're a Catholic. And they go, that's it? And the Catholics say, yeah, except there's a few rules, like you got to eat fish on Friday, you can't eat steak, you can't eat meat on Friday. And they go, okay. So the next Friday, the guys are coming home from work, and they're just so excited. They're going, you know, it's finally a Friday when we won't have to smell that steak. And they open their door, and they go, what's that? And they look over the fence, and there's the Lutheran father cooking steak. And he's got a little jar of water, and he said, you were born a cow? You were raised a cow? Now you're a fish. Go Mary Morrissey, she has the best stories. Well, now I'm thinking, you know, we're laughing, you know, we have this essential self that has now taken dominion over the household of ourselves, and it has invited the egoic local selves to come into its resonant field, and it's a little bit like it's saying, you were born self-centered, you were raised self-centered, now you're your essential self, right? And you know, I'm only saying that because there are those amongst us who might think that we're doing a little voodoo hoodoo, and that Barbara is really asking a lot, that all of a sudden we're going to be transformed into our essential selves. And some of us will not believe that that's possible in this lifetime, right? Anyone? As you believe, so shall it be. You know, a faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. And it could happen for some of us in the twinkling of an eye, and for some of us it will be a process and a journey. And knowing how sometimes this unfolds, it might be a better thing that it's a process and a journey. But we need to decide what it is we want. What do you want? I mean, there are parts of us that are probably afraid of becoming the essential self. That egoic part that thinks it's separate knows that the essential self is pure love, and you cannot remain separate. You cannot maintain your identity in the frequency of pure love. And so that egoic self doesn't want to let go. So we need to make a decision if we are going to do whatever it needs to be done in order to emerge into our essential selves. Last week, many of you, it was last week, week before, first week, we made a commitment. We made a commitment to do what was necessary in order to emerge as our essential self. And that is a process of going in. Barbara has given us a wonderful tool, her emergence process. Basically, it is the process of meditation. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to give you a little background on the unity journey. Barbara's journey is very similar, but we have a different language in unity, and I thought if you weren't familiar with that, it might be a good time to bring it in. It's called the to me, by me, through me, as me process. Or another way of saying it is mortal metaphysician, mystic master. But to me, by me, through me, as me. To me, this is where we all begin. We begin because we have had translated the world as against us or somehow unfriendly. And therefore, we feel that we are subject to the world, and the world is doing it to us. People are doing things to us. We have no power to change things or to affect things. We are just victims. This is what we call victim consciousness. And unfortunately, when I look around the world, most of the world is still in victim consciousness. We are thinking that we're subject to outside influences, outside individuals. This is why we go to war. This is why we get angry with each other, because we don't realize that we have any power. So in order to get to the next level, which is the by me level of our spiritual journey, we need to surrender victim consciousness. And we realize that there is a force for good in the world, and we can use it for our good. This is when we begin doing affirmative prayer. This is when we begin manifesting parking places. A whole lot would be good. Thank you. This is a very essential part of our spiritual journey because we realize we are powerful, that our thoughts and our way of being is powerful and it's creative. And we use that for good in our world, hopefully. In order to get to the next stage, which is the through me stage, in the through me stage, we have a realization that there's a force for good in the world and it wants to use us. This is the most challenging transition and probably the transition that most of us are in. Because in order to move from the by me to the through me stage, we need to let go of control. Oh, for those of us who are raised in a dysfunctional family, this is bad news. Because finally in the by me stage, we got some control over our lives. We can make things happen. We're feeling powerful. And now we have to let it all go. But if you're going to allow the Spirit to use you, you need to let go of your own agenda. No, it's not like we don't have intentions. You still have intentions, but you stop having attachment to those intentions, and you spend a lot of time within listening to the Spirit of the living God for the guidance and direction that the Spirit wants to express as you. We ask the question, how would God like to express as me? So instead of having an attachment, we have preferences. Preferences, as Mary Marcy said. So the final stage is the as-me stage, and that is when we are our essential self. We are living it. There is no separation. You probably don't know too many people who are in this stage because they don't talk about it. They're living it. They're being it. When Jesus said, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me, he had moved into the as-me stage. There are some as-me's around, but we probably might not recognize them. Not too many of us have gotten there, so we don't know a whole lot about what that's like. So it's my understanding that most of us are either in the by-me stage or moving into the through-me stage, and we're allowing the Spirit to move as us. So in order to progress on this journey, as Barbara encourages us, spend time in the inner chamber, in the inner sanctuary. Learn a meditation process. And this can be the most challenging thing for us, to take the time to be still and to be quiet and to allow ourselves to be present to the fullness. So I'm going to talk just briefly about Unity's meditation process as well, because I think there's many ways out there, but some of us are really struggling with meditation and being still. So I suggest that you meditate in the morning before you do anything else, before your life takes over. It is very hard to get back to your meditation if you don't begin the day with meditation. I get up and have tea so I'm fully awake, and then I go back and do my meditation process. I invite you to sit somewhere comfortable. It's very important that you're able to let go of your body, so you want to be comfortable. It's helpful to sit with your back straight because energy moves up and down your back. I would suggest not lying down because you probably fall asleep and then you won't get the full benefit. You want to be comfortable. If you have an itch, scratch it. If your leg wants to move, move it. Because you want to forget about your body. And in this process that we're in the emergence process, the mantra that I suggested on Wednesday, well, the fullness of it is, I lift up mine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. In the process that Barbara's suggesting, she's having us lift our eyes up to our essential self. So the mantra can simply be, I lift my eyes, I lift my eyes, I lift my eyes. So when you're trying to be still, you're being still, and ego says this, or ego says that, you forgot to write that, and you forgot to do this, and when you blah, 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 I lift up my eyes. You're very, very gentle with yourself. You don't try to make it happen. You just come back to the mantra, I lift up my eyes. You can use any mantra that is familiar with you, but that's just what I'm suggesting for now. And then you will notice that the Spirit will begin to pull at you. And it's like a vortex. And it pulls at your being. I don't know any other way aside that it's a vortex and it's pulling you in. And here's the vortex. And at some point, you will pass into the silence or the secret place of the Most High, or one of the many mansions that God talks about. And that is a place beyond thought where you have total immersion with the essence. This is the immersion of humanity and divinity. This is what Barbara's suggesting or calling the rose-colored chamber, when you have total immersion with your divine essence, the divine essence in you. A place of, you might be in there for a second, or you might be in there for 45 minutes and you come back and you don't even know where you've been. So it's a wonderful, blissful, deep, abiding joy place. And when you return, be sure to give thanks. Give gratitude. Give gratitude. So as Barbara says, I think it's very helpful for us to have a visual for our essential self. And so I've invited you to write down qualities and write down and cut out pictures and get a real, not just a visual, but a felt sense of what your essential self is. Because that is who your true essence is, and you're simply trying to realize it. I have been finding that when I was getting pictures, actually, of my essential self, I keep feeling like the essential self is some other body over here, that I've called into my inner sanctuary. And so I see this light being coming into my inner sanctuary, but it's separate from me, and the voice comes from over there. Does anybody else, like I want total immersion. And so the most helpful thing for me to do is to visualize light within me. Like, as I mentioned last week, Cocoon, in the movie Cocoon, those light beings that are walking around with an earth suit on, that's your essential self, your light being. And my visual is to see that light being and know, and then the voice starts to come from within me. The inner guidance comes from within me. But I'm inviting you to, how many have made a cue card with Art and Practice or one of the other classes that we've done? There's a card that has the qualities that are you. When you're on your card, you're being those qualities. So I'm inviting you to make a cue card for your essential self. When you make this, when we make a cue card in the Art and Practice, we write down all the qualities of the people we admire, and then we have the realization that those are actually our qualities, because it takes one to know one. Same with your essential self. Takes one to know one. What qualities do you admire about your essential self? And put that on a card and carry it with you. And then you will know when you're off your card and when you're on your card. I mean, you're going to know because you'll have a felt sense when you're off your card, but I think it's just an interesting practice that you can do. When I have noticed that when I have a really deep meditation in the morning, I carry that with me when I go out into the world. And then when troubles and situations and whatever comes up looks like it might be against me, it kind of rolls off me. So one of the suggestions that Barbara has is when you're in your inner sanctuary to create a protective balm that you apply to your whole nervous system. And, it's just a practice that you're visualizing, you're putting a protective balm or a protective light around yourself. So when you go out into the world and things start happening, you don't take them so personally. You don't get all upset. You don't get all bent out of shape. This is the greatest benefit of the meditation practice to me. Because, Napoleon Hill, who studied for 20 years, studied the most successful people in the country, made a hierarchy of what people wanted most, and the thing people wanted most was peace of mind. Peace of mind. And when we are able to transform our egoic self into our essential self, it stops all that yammy and all that chaos, and then we know peace of mind. So to me, anything that we can do, this is why the practice is so important to me, anything that we can do to keep ourselves centered, to carry that out into our world, that's what will create peace of mind. And be careful about who you talk to about this stuff. You what? I said to my son the other day, it's our thoughts that are creating this weather. We can change it. And he's like, come on, Mom, Really. So just be careful. You may want, you might want to, hopefully you're in a group. If you're not in a group, have a friend or two that is doing this work with you. And they might, for these 7 weeks or for this Lenten period, they might be the ones you want to mostly hang out with. Because they, as I said earlier, you want to create resonant field in your groups. And a resonant field is resounding. As I said, you're echoing back to each other their essential self, and they're echoing it back to you. So when we say, I see you, that's what we're doing. We're seeing the essential self. Let that be a practice in your groups. Barbara suggests that you tell your stories. You tell your stories because when you tell your story and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you might be a guide to another person. And then they will be a guide to another person, and so on and so on. This is the echoing, the resonance that we're creating together. So if you're just with one other person, when 2 or more are gathered, that is what can create this resonant field, and you will expand exponentially because of it. So Barbara said once she was doing this work for a very long time, and she noticed that she's spending a lot of time in the inner chamber, her egoics, her local selves were being transformed. And she realized that, guess what? They really are a part of, they're facets of my essential self. And they were acting out because they wanted something, and they wanted to be seen, they wanted to be heard, and they wanted to be loved. But the truth is, the kind of transformation that she saw, the egoic selves that were so driven and wanted her to do this and get the work done, they were the ones that just were inspiring her to do her work, to do what was hers to do. And the ones that were so judgmental all the time, they were actually just discerning. So I noticed this about myself. That, I have this ego part that's afraid of doing things because I'm going to look stupid. Well, actually, that's a very courageous part of me. And that part is the part that, I forget what I said about that. I know it's in there. It's actually that the fear part, a fear part is excitement. And when I'm excited, I'm more present and I'm more awake. So we can retranslate what we've referred to as our ego-echolocal selves, as they're being transmuted. When they're in when they come in, into the inner sanctuary, when the essential self has invited them in, they have the experience of bliss. The depth of the inner sanctuary is bliss and deep and abiding joy. And when the the local selves come in there, that's all they want. They let go of their agenda. They're just like children. They just want to be seen, heard, and know that they have value. My horse had a sore back, an injured back, and so I gave her 6 days off. And during those 6 days, I'd go and be with her. I'd put her on a long line and let her move around without the encumbrance of a person on her, and I massaged her. And her neck stretches out, and she does this thing called lick and chew. That means she's releasing and she's happy. As Barbara said, the essential self start purring like kittens. Well, my horse was just like, yeah, I just want to be with you. Can't we just do this? No more agenda. Right. The overriding agenda that comes through our essential self and our local selves ultimately is self-expression. This is the true through me stage when we realize that the Spirit longs to use us, to move through us, to be us. And that's what the essential self wants, and that's what the local selves want too. All together, there's that longing, the tapping at the door of your consciousness, asking you to be all that you came here to be. And as I said earlier, there is a deep and abiding joy that comes when we are in the inner sanctuary. It is a kind of bliss, a peace that passeth all understanding. And once we recognize that, anytime we want to get into that place, as Alan Cohen says, joy is my compass. Whenever we want it, we just can think about that kind of bliss, and the needle of our attention will go there. I wanted to read to you something from Alan Cohen, which I thought was appropriate, because we can make the decision to do this at any time. Okay, the airplane touched down at the Newark runway at 9 o'clock on Sunday night. My friend Ann would be waiting for me at the gate, and it would be good to see her. When I reached the lobby, Ann was not there. I waited 5, 10, 15 minutes, still no sign. Where was she? I called her up, and to my surprise, Ann answered. But you're not coming until tomorrow night. I looked at my ticket. The ticket says I'm here tonight. The message from your office said Monday night. I don't think the pilot got the same message. Okay, says Ann, hang in there, I'll be right there. And right there meant at least 45 minutes. Why is this happening to me, God? Anybody ever? I questioned. What am I going to do in Newark Airport for almost an hour? The voice came loud and clear. Why not practice being happy? Yeah, that's easy for you to say, I retorted. You get to hang out on some celestial cloud watching Charlton Heston movies. You don't have to sit in Newark Airport on a Sunday night. What makes you think that that's not heaven? Now, really, God, you're stretching it on that one. Am I? Listen, son, the big air traffic controller went on. Remember the Course in Miracles lessons. I could see peace instead of this. I could see peace instead of this. Why is it that God always has to hit you with the truth when you least want to hear it? Sure, I remember. Well, here's your chance to practice. Imagine that you're in heaven now. You sure do have a great imagination, God. I know, that's how I created the entire universe. Not a bad production, wouldn't you agree? I had to agree. I had my assignment. So I decided to play a little game while I waited. I decided to imagine that I was in heaven and everything I saw happen before me was actually happening in heaven. I saw families greeting their children at the gate. What a wonderful scene, families reuniting in heaven. I watched the porters picking up bags off the carousel and delivering them to the waiting cars and limousines. I noticed they were smiling. Wow, I exclaimed to myself. They're assisting people with their arrival into heaven. What a great job. And then I noticed several people standing at a rent-a-car desk, making arrangements to pick up transportation. How exciting, I remarked. These folks have arrived in heaven and they're about to take a tour and then find their homes of eternal peace. Before long, I was in a state of deep tranquility. Sitting there in what seemed to be Newark Airport, I felt lifted into an exquisitely tranquil meditation with my eyes open. Why would I need to close my eyes to find heaven if I were seeing it all around me? Yeah, it's good, huh? So we can play heaven anytime. We can switch our attention over to a deep, abiding joy, the place of bliss that we remember in our inner chamber. So this week, Barbara has suggested the idea of the rose-colored chamber. And what she did, she made a deeper place in her inner sanctuary. It's sort of like the Holy of Holies in the temple. In the temple in Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies is a place set apart where God and the Ark of the Covenant was, and only the high priest would go in there once a year. And there was a veil separating the people from God. Well, now Barbara's inviting you into the rose-colored chamber as if it was the Holy of Holies. And it is here where she rose is the color of love, the spiritual power of love. And love is oneness. So she's inviting you into the realization of oneness. And the work is to imagine that you are infusing yourself with rose-colored light. You know those flowers that they dye, and the water is dyed, and the water comes up in through the flower? So imagine you're the same, and you're imagining yourself infused with rose-colored light. And this is the true place of oneness, of the as-me. When we can realize ourself as our essential self, when we have created union between our humanity and our divinity, then we know our essential self. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, living in a spiritual universe ordered by spiritual law. And in the rose-colored chamber, we can have that experience. So I think was there anything else I wanted to say before I close? Oh, I just wanted you, I love this Bernini. Could we have that picture? Sorry, I skipped something. Forget that because I think I'm going over time. But do you know this sculpture? This is St. Teresa, the ecstasy of St. Teresa. She's being slain in the spirit. That's the bliss. That's the deep and abiding joy. I invite us all to know that. This week, I invite you to make a cue card for your essential self so you recognize more fully who your essential self is. Spend as much time as you can in the inner chamber. Visualize the rose-colored chamber, the rose-colored light coming in within you. Notice when you're off your card. Create a protective balm around your nervous system so stuff doesn't get to you so much. And remember, you were born self-centered. You were raised self-centered. Now you're your essential self. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. That's you. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Whew. Thank you. Bless you. That was fun. All right, we're going to move into our time of meditation now.
I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of love. I am a radiant light of God. Shine shine the light of love. I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of love. When I stumble, I live by the light of my faith, shining both night and day, shining both night and day. I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of love.
All right, so I invite you to take a deep cleansing breath. At the beginning of meditation, we do take a deep breath and allow the breath to go fully down into the core of our being. And as you are still in your meditation, you'll notice that your breath become very shallow. You don't need a lot of breath to get into the stillness and into the silence. So one more deep cleansing breath. Make sure that you've removed anything from your lap that might encumber you, and make yourself as comfortable as possible in your chair. Just notice if there's any part of your being that is feeling tension. You may want to speak to it, peace be still. Peace be still. And if you have created an inner sanctuary, I invite you to go there now and imagine it. Imagine it with all of your senses. A place within your being, most beautiful and most safe place that you can imagine. See the colors. If it's outside, feel the sunshine. Feel what is beneath your feet. Relax and let go. Peace be still. In the back of your mind, you may want to begin the mantra, I lift up mine eyes. I lift up mine eyes. We're in this inner chamber. We're going to imagine ourselves as our essential self. So we invite all the local selves to join us. Because in this inner chamber, there is a frequency or a vibration that is magnetic. And the local selves long to be in that vibration, in that frequency. So they join in your being as you are creating in mind your essential self. Just for today, just invite you to imagine that you are being infilled with a rose-colored light. And allow that light to permeate every cell and tissue of your being and every cell and tissue of your local selves, your egoic selves. Let all of you merge in this beautiful, soft, rose-colored light. What is the felt experience? What does it feel like to be infilled with this light? To be softened, to be gentled? Who is this essential self, and can you recognize it as yourself? We're going to take time in the silence. So I invite you to bring any concern, anything that is troubling you to this essential self. When we go into the silence, you will take no thought. So before we enter into the silence, drop a question into the energy field, into the rose-colored chamber, allowing it to enter into the essential self. And we'll have silence, and when you return is when to notice if you get an answer, if you get a feeling or a symbol or anything that might direct you. Your essential self is your guidance and your direction. And when you are connected with this essence, you are at peace. Take a moment to think of any question you might have. Drop it into the space between thoughts. And then peace be still in the silence. I'm beginning to come back to this present time and place. Just notice if you receive anything from the essential self. And before we leave this place, just imagine that you are creating a protective balm to put around your nervous system. An ointment, so that troubles and situations just kind of fall away. You deal with them, but you're not troubled by them. And if you'd like to bring to mind those you would like to hold in prayer at this time, I invite you to do so by speaking together their names out loud. And I hold in loving light the prayers of this prayer box. We see them filled with rose-colored light today, a light that enlightens everyone. And we know these prayers never return void. Thank you, God. And let's remember once again that we are a radiant light of God.
I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of peace. I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of peace. And again. I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of peace. When I see your face, I see God's light guiding you on your way, guiding you on your way with love. I am a radiant light of God. Shine the light of love.
truth, and so it is. Amen. And at this time, we open to receive our tithes and offerings, our love offerings, and we thank you those online streaming for joining us. We thank you for your generosity. And before we do that, John Mayer is going, new board member, John Mayer is going to come forward and tell us the board intentions for the month. Yes. Where are you, John? Oh, I saw you.
That's all right, we have music.
I stand in the presence. It's the tradition of the board to make some intentions for the month, and in your bulletin you have this month's intentions, but just to review a little bit the intentions for last month. Last month's intention first was we will make wise decisions about succession planning. And the announcement of Shipley's retirement was met with great love, great appreciation, and great gladness that she's still going to be with us for the next year and a half. And the succession team presented, led by Lisa Natoli, presented an indication of what's going on in that regard over the next period. And it was accepted with some ease and some grace. The second thing was, the second intention was that the annual meeting would be high consciousness with high attendance. And indeed, we had a good attendance, 55 people at the meeting. The discussion focused a lot around the question of membership, and it was an honest, open, respectful, high consciousness conversation that will surely go on from here. The third intention was we continue to expand our prosperity through attracting strong businesses into rental spaces. And indeed, we have a new rentee, Sue James, in her photography studio. And we're looking to spruce up rooms here in the center, painting and cleaning and creating marketing for advertising these spaces. And indeed, some agreement is being completed now for a new business offering Tai Chi classes. And so we look to expand that even more. And as you see, our intentions for this month, our income exceeds our expenses in March. Amen. We run spirit-directed board meetings. Last meeting was any indication of that. I mean, there's a lot of spirit and a little ego. And thirdly, that we maximize the energetic and financial use of our space. And as I said, there are processes at work that will make that become a reality. So thank you.
And as I said last week, we have voted for 2 outreach partners, and today I would like to invite Sandra Thaxter to come up and talk to you about Small Solutions. Oh, and Ido is with us too.
We didn't know Ido was going to be back from Paris, but Ido is my connection to you all, and he also is our connection to that bigger world. And we're here because really we are all one. Even you're giving us these few moments to think about Kenyan children. You are already doing something just by being present for us to talk to you. And I just spent some time with 2 of your teens, and we played a little video showing them, the kids in Kenya, with the laptops, interviewing people in their community about HIV/AIDS, and you see the smiles on their faces, how excited that they are This tool, because what we provide is a tool, it is a megaphone for their lives, and it's a window for them to open into the world. Otherwise, they are pretty much abandoned by their government, and they don't get money for their schools. Their teachers are undereducated. Their schools are too overcrowded. This is for them a very personal opening, and you are helping us continue with this work and make it possible. We are so grateful. We also, what else? I wanted to say about the students I just introduced to what we're doing is I really believe that the youth, kids in school today, the kids under 20, under 25, they are connected to the world. They really care about the world. And this year, Small Solutions is doing more work to connect kids here with the kids in our sites in Africa, because we, I think, really believe that they are the force of the future. If we can connect them talking about shared problems, whether it's our environment or their personal struggle to just be good people, that we are empowering them and a whole generation. And I think this is a great thing.
All I can say, thank you for the support I got from this church, and this is your organization. You were the first person to encourage me to start this program, and I think we have a long way to do together. Thank you, thank you.
All right. So taking your offering in your hand, let's say the blessing of the tithes and offerings together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Spirit blowing through creation, Spirit burning in the skies, let the hope of transformation fill our eyes. God of splendor, God in glory, we who light the stars above, all of heaven tells the story of our love. Spirit renewing the earth, renewing the hearts of all people. Burn in the weary souls, blow through the silent lips. Come now, awake us, Spirit of God. As you move upon the waters, as you ride upon the wind, move us all, your sons and daughters, deep within. As you shape the hills and mountains, form the land and fill the deep, let your hand renew and awaken all who sleep. Spirit renewing the earth, renewing the hearts of all people. Burn in the weary souls, blow through the silent lips. Come now, awake us, Spirit of God.
Gorgeous. Thank you. Truly, sweet spirit, we are infilled with the rose-colored light, lifted into a new frequency, a new resonance, a new vibration. And we infill these offerings with the same to do the will and the work of Holy Spirit. Thank you for this. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you, Michelle Merlot back there, helping us today. Jay, thank you for bringing back streaming. And Chuck Walker on sound. And what a beautiful job the music team has done today. Wow. Yes, yes. Boy. Lori Levenger, my Sunday service coordinator. Thank you.
Ever hear voices? I had a voice come down and tell me the name of my car one time. The name is Crystal. Her name is Crystal. I once was walking a hard and lonesome road.
Sing it, sister. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Too much judgment and confusion.
Yeah, gospel.
Up my soul.
Go ahead.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
To be free. Yeah. And she said, and he said, and then it
Go
said.
ahead now.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead now. Yeah.
Oh yes.
I am ready. I am ready. I am ready to walk that heavenly road. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready to walk that heavenly road with you. Lord, 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 Lord.
That road is lined with passion, and it's paved with pleasure, and it's packed down with laughter and joy. Sees a new tomorrow, away from sorrow unto a brand new show. Yes, I am ready. Good Lord,
I am ready.
oh yes.
I am ready to walk that heavenly road.
Oh yes,
I am ready.
good Lord.
I am ready.
Oh yes,
I am ready to walk that heavenly road with you. Lord, 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 Lord,
and I will walk with my head high and in the sunshine onto that love that never ends.
Lord, Lord,
Great God inside me, my friends beside me. Oh Lord, you got me through every turn and every bend. Oh yes,
I am ready.
good Lord.
I am ready.
Oh yes,
I am ready to walk that heavenly road.
oh yes,
I am ready.
good Lord.
I am ready.
Oh yes,
I am ready to walk that heavenly road. Lord, Lord, Lord,
I'm gonna ask you,
Lord, Lord,
are you ready?
Lord, Lord,
Are you ready? Say, I'm ready. I am ready. for fun?
I am ready.
Are you ready for laughter?
I am ready.
More dancing?
I am ready.
More joy?
I am ready.
Are you ready for love?
I am ready.
Are you really ready for
I
love?
am ready.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Oh, yes.
Meg, Lucian, and Brian on our music team and the choir. And the boys in the band. And my paws.
Well, let's welcome in our youth and family ministry.
Thank you for that reception. We had a lot of things going on in Youth Ed today. One thing that we had that was really special is that we have live streaming in our nursery now. Yeah. So that means our nursery Unitart teachers and the parents can see the service and not miss anything. It's really special. The children today, we had a number of things that we did. The younger kids, we talked about Jesus' life and leading up to Palm Sunday because we're going to be working on a Sunday pageant soon, and we were practicing our pageant. And then we played games. And the older kids had Sandra Thaxter here, and she was talking about the program with the kids in Africa because we're matching the kids here with email pals in Africa. So that's a special program that we're doing here. So a lot of good things happening. Just want to remind you that the Easter baskets, our last Sunday, is next week. So if you have any items for our neighbor's table Easter baskets, please bring them in by next Sunday. Thank you so much.
Waylon, Leah, Nate, come on. Let's rise and sing our peace song. Self-centered. You were raised self-centered. Now you're your essential self.